All right, everybody, shalom and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from the land of Israel, where we are experiencing Iranian rockets. The war is definitely escalating here. There's definitely a sense of escalation in the war. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the escalation of the war. We're going to talk about how people are feeling here in the Holy Land. We're going to be talking about the fight and the battle. We're going to do a lot of that as soon as we get started. We're going to get started ASAP, but first we're going to wait for everybody to come in. So we're saying shalom to everybody around the world at this time, and I want to hear from you. So please send me a hello and a shalom from wherever you are around the world. I want to hear your your blessings to the land of Israel from wherever you are. So let's hear it. Let's get a feeling from where you guys are. Send me a blessing, send me a shalom, and I'll send you a blessing right back here from the land of Israel, where we are definitely under rocket fire. That's right, definitely under rocket fire, definitely dealing with a lot of stuff. And I want to thank my producer, Yo, who is with me. Yo, if you could put up the blessings that people are sending from all over the world, that would be great. And it's great to be with you guys right now here from the good land. Shalom from India. Woody Woodpecker was all the way in India. It's awesome. Shalom from Seattle. Shalom to you. Shalom from Eastern Kansas. All right. Shalom to you. All right. Let's keep going. Shalom from Sweden. Howdy. Good to see you. God bless you from Texas, from Dallas, Texas. Wait, that's going a little too fast. A little too fast. Shalom Ofakim in southern Israel. Toda Rabah. Let's go back to Panama City, Florida. Been there. I have been there. Hello from DC. Shalom and Toda Rabah. I have been to Panama City. Beautiful white sands there. Shalom from Texas. God bless Israel. Hey, man. God bless you. All right. Shalom from Mexico City, Yishai. Shalom from Jakarta. We got people coming in from everywhere. Shalom from London. All right. From Cold Lake, Alberta. I have never been there. Prayers and blessings from Israel. Shalom. So glad for the alliance between our countries. Shalom, Justin. Thank you very much. Shalom from South Africa. Shalom from the Netherlands. Okay. From Fair Lawn, New Jersey, where the best kosher Chinese food resides. Shalom from Uganda. Shalom from Maryland. Shalom from, thank you very much for this coffee delivery from my beloved son. Hey, I need some fake milk. Come on, take that back. I want some fake milk. If I'm allowed to, yeah, I think I'm allowed to have real milk. You know, Jews don't mix meat and milk. Be safe. Nagpur, India, thank you very much. God bless and protect the beautiful people and the land of Israel. Blessings from Canada. Shalom, thank you so much. Shalom from South Africa. Okay. Shalom from South Germany. Always great to listen to you. Wow, this is so much fun. It's so beautiful. Shalom from Malaysia. I've never been to Malaysia, but maybe one day I will be. Thank you again, sir. Okay, I got my Yishai Fleisher mug. Okay, the Yishai Fleisher mug, which you're seeing backwards. The Yishai Fleisher mug can be bought on YouTube at Yishai Fleisher TV, that you could get your own mug. Shalom from the Philippines and Manila. Wow. From Ghana. This is amazing. What an amazing thing. From Westfield, Indiana, to be able to connect to you all over the world. From Suriname. Shalom. All right. Shalom from Nigeria. Just beautiful. All right. Shalom from Sweden. Okay, yo, I got to get on with the show. So shalom to Rochester. Shalom to Oklahoma City. Shalom from the UAE, I see. Salam alaikum. All right, wonderful. There's just so many excellent people from all over the world. And Paul, once again, shalom from Mars. And that must be somewhere in the middle of the United States. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, excellent to have all of you with us. And more people are coming in from all over the world. And it's a schut. Everybody out there say the word schut. Schut. Yeah, it's a hard word to pronounce out there. It means it's a merit. It's a blessing to be broadcasting from the good land, from the land of Israel, and to be able to talk with you and to talk to the folks in Northern Ireland and from Ulster. Awesome, awesome. Such, you know what, amazing places also that I'd love to visit, but there's nothing like the Holy Land. For example, Afula, Israel. Shalom to you, sir. And so therefore, it is really, these places are a blessing. And I want to send you guys blessing, because if you're listening to this show, that means that you are trying to channel the blessings of Israel and the God of Israel to your lands out there, wherever you are. And I'm sending you the blessings because it's a good world and there are good people out there. And you're part of that good people. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of anti-God, anti-Bible, anti-Israel stuff out there, but not you folks. You guys are the good folks, and I'm sending you blessings right now to Indonesia. Very good. And Scotland. Okay, we have to stop now. It's because I got to get on with the show. Shalom from Norway. But really, I do want to send you those blessings. And I'm telling you that you guys are a channel of blessings wherever you are out there. And the world needs you. And I'm blessing you. I'm really sending you a blessing. Before I actually go on, I want to make an actual blessing. I want to have some of this coffee. So I'm going to say the blessing on the water-like product. Bochata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. It's tea. I thought it was going to be coffee. Surprise. All right, everybody. God bless you. Let's get to work. First up, let's try to understand what's going on in the news. We have a lot of news to cover. The situation is not simple. It's not simple here in Israel. It's not simple internationally. A friend of mine who is able to mix Israel and the international community is Ariel Kahane. In Hebrew, the nickname for Ariel is Arik. And Ariel Kahane is a senior diplomatic correspondent for Israel Hayom and a regular commentator now on I-24 News. I'm very happy to see him there. He covers Israel's political leadership and the diplomatic arena on a daily basis and insight into decision-making that's shaping the country right now. His Twitter is Arik3000 and his website is arielkahane.com. And he's on the road to studio right now. Ariel Kahane, shalom and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Shalom, Yishai. Do you hear me well? Do you see me well?
Not bad. Okay, not bad.
Not bad? Okay.
Not bad. Ariel Kahane, you're on the way.
You know, Yishai, I know you for so many years. I didn't know you became so international.
It's true. It's true. You know what? I'll tell you what, Ariel Kahane. It's the war. You know, the war started and things changed. I moved over to video, and Baruch Hashem, we have a big audience all around the world now. And the war also means that people are yearning to find out what's happening here in the land of Israel, and they're seeing Israel under attack, and people care about that. Okay, so give me your perspective, Ariel Kahane.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you all I know and all I can. But you said that our audience is on the side of God, and I totally agree. But what I would add, if that's okay, is that we and them are also on the side of goodness. Okay, because that's war is a war between the good guys and the evil guys, the bad guys, and therefore people who are here and listening to you and listening to us, I'm sure are on the right side, on the good side, and hopefully in the end of the war, we will bring them a victory. This Gadol.
Okay, well let's actually drill down on those issues. Who are the bad guys in this story here? Is it jihadism? Is it really China? Is it Russia? Like, what's the real game that's being played here? Who do you think are like the real players in this battle? And we also see very few people on the side of Israel. Like, who's on our side? Who's on the other side?
So on the other side, it's actually the Iranian regime. And have to be emphasized, not the Iranian people, it's the Iranian regime, the Ayatollah, and actually it's a small minority in Iran, and they took over that country, that fantastic country with a lot of history, 2,000 years history. They took over that country 47 years ago. Culture, all the abilities of that wonderful nation, of Persian nation, historic Persian nation, they used it to become, I would say, not evil empire, but really an evil negative power of terror and killing and being bad to their own, to the people of the Middle East, and one of them is the people of Israel. And just yesterday, Yishai, that's maybe the last important development of the war. Just yesterday, they shoot a missile, for 2,000 kilometers that kind to the Diego Garcia Island, and that missile can reach actually 2,000 kilometers. It means it can reach, I would say, most of Europe, of Western Europe, from Iran. And in shooting that missile, exposing a lie, because just 2 weeks ago, continental missiles, and so now it was exposed they do have, and not only they have those missiles, they use them. And I hope because it should open the eyes of the European nations, and actually I would say all nations in the world, to understand that this extreme regime of Iran, what they want, what is the core of their ideology? The core of their ideology is to enforce the Shia, which is a movement or a sign or part of Islam. They want to enforce their religion by force and by terror on the entire world. So if they would have a nuclear weapon, as they wanted, if they would have one day a nuclear weapon, they would enforce you and I and our listeners and every person in the world, if they can, to become Shias, not Jews, not Christians, not other kind of Muslims. They will force all of us, if they can. That's what they would. That's their ideology, to become Shia Muslims. And now, we can argue what religion and is right and wrong, and to have different beliefs, and freedom of speech. That's fine. I strongly support to have different opinions, and people should change opinions and have a discussion, and all that stuff. That's fantastic. But to enforce by weapon one religion over other nation, to me at least, it's very bad. And if you go to the core of what we have here, that's what we have here. And one day, if they could again, and I think it's very positive that America and Israel are doing these days, these weeks, all they can to take any kind of power for that brutal regime, that evil regime, because otherwise, the day they could, they would have in enforcing that extreme religion, that extreme belief over all of us.
Let's see a video about the European concerns over the abilities that the Iranian regime now seems to have. Let's check this out.
Strategic location close to the Middle East, and the UK says its bases here help protect people in the region. But the Cypriot government in Nicosia is facing mounting questions from citizens as the Iran war continues, about the British presence here and about its close ties to Israel. Authorities have been at pains to stress that Cyprus is safe and that the country itself wasn't targeted.
We have diplomatic, excellent relationships with all the countries in the area, and the message that we send every day to all the countries, to our allies, to all the participants in this crisis is that Cyprus is not part of the problem, it's always part of the solution.
But the drone incident didn't just spark domestic debate, it also prompted a Europe-wide response. France, Greece and Italy were among countries which swiftly sent warships to boost defences here. These military moves open something of a new chapter for Europe, according to some analysts.
So there's definitely a concern in Europe that this war is kind of getting bigger and broader. And you mentioned, Ariel Kahane, you mentioned that there's this real sense that that they wanted to stay out of this war and out of all wars, it looks like, but they're being pulled in on one level or another. What do you think?
Well, I think they should have or not pulled in, but joined, because it's their interest. I mean, what Israel and America are doing is not only to protect us, Yishai, it's to protect, in my opinion, the entire world. Okay, because actually, the Iranian regime, the current Iranian regime, is a threat not only for Western democracies. It's a threat for Russia. It's a threat for China. It's a threat for, again, every person. I mean, if you go to the core of their ideology, it's a threat to every person in the world, because as long as you don't believe they're Shia, again, part of Islam, they will enforce the religion over you by force, by terror, by bomb, all the ugly stuff they have. that they built for years. Okay, what is? Why do they have all that stuff? Why do they shoot those missiles against their own neighbors, against the UAE? We said before, we have someone from the UAE, against the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, against Turkey, against Azerbaijan, against so many countries, their neighbors. Why does it do all that? Okay, why does it call to annihilate Israel? Why do they call the USA as a great Satan, and they call Israel the small Satan? Why? What did we do for them? Nothing. It's hate. It's just hatred. Okay. So it's hatred for the Jewish people and what we represent. It's hatred to America and what America represent, and actually it's hatred to everyone who is not joining their belief. So in my opinion, Western countries and others, but specifically Western countries, should have joined the war and helped that war that it began. America and Israel began it, Netanyahu and Trump began it by themselves on the last day of February. But now I'm talking about the Western countries. When Western countries, now that you know that Iran is threatening you and has the ability to attack you, why wouldn't you join? Why wouldn't you help? Why wouldn't you do what you can do for your own national security interests?
Well, we
I
know why,
didn't hear.
because of wokeism, right? We know that wokeism is one of the biggest threats today to national sovereignty. In many ways, it's the thing that comes before the jihadists. Before the jihad comes in is the wokeism. The wokeism, the blue color, right? Democratic blue is the thing that comes before green. I've come up with this new phrase that I tell people: there are green states in America. There's red states, there's blue states, but there's green states. Green states are states that have become pro-jihad, and we see that certainly in Europe, and that's what's stopping them. And also, when you lose your identity, when you succumb to wokeism, you no longer really have the ability to fight because you don't believe in your own army, you don't believe in your own national masculinity, you don't believe in these things anymore. You've lost the plot, right?
A, I agree. B, I would add not only wokeism but also weakness. It's weakness. I mean, if you follow what's going on, for example, with UK Navy, if you saw some reports in the last days, okay, if you remember history, the Brits had one of the best navies in the world. Okay, talking about 100 years ago. Okay, now they suffer from so many, I would say, embarrassing problems. I don't want to mention here. That you ask yourself, what happened to this to this nation? What happened to the Great Britain who fought the Nazis in Second World War? What happened to them? How comes they don't do basics which are necessary for their own interest? Now, so it's wokeness. I agree. It's progressive, but it's also weakness. And now I do want to tell you that there is a very positive segment in the UK. Because at least according to some of the polls, those who do want to save the Great Britain are actually the majority in the polls. So when there are going to be elections there, and I guess it's going to happen in a few months, maybe they will come back and we will see once again the Great Britain the way it used to be. But not talking about colonialism, talking about just protect your values, protect your civilization. So maybe a change will happen there and then. But now, no question, there is a problem, but I want to tell you, it's not only Western countries. I mean, I'm quite disappointed from the Gulf Arab countries, which are attacked by the Iranians, and I really don't understand why they do not join the war. Why, what? If they don't want to fight, why they are not even cutting diplomatic ties with Iran?
Well, they're throwing out diplomats, right? They in Qatar, Iranian diplomats are persona non grata, etc. So there is some diplomatic moves against Iran. But Ariel Kahane, we all know what the problem is. If you go into the war against Iran, at the end, you're supporting the Jewish Israel, America coalition, and Israel's going to come out stronger. And that's very hard for even moderate Arab countries to swallow.
if that's the case, then it's very disappointing. But what I do want to tell you, Isha, and that's very important because you were asking what's going on with the war. So I have to tell you also all the obstacles and the negative aspects which I mentioned until now, the basics, the most important part of the war are going well because America and Israel in the last 3 weeks actually weakened. Actually, from the Iran we had just a few weeks ago. You hear me well, Yishai?
I hear you, but I don't see you.
You don't see me. I see
Shomim.
you very. Yeah, but I
We hear
see you
you.
and I hear you.
Yeah, okay. Well, we lost your
Okay, I hope
you've become totally spiritual to us, and we've lost your visual, your physicality.
No,
Okay,
I'm still here.
okay, so finish up that sentence, please, what you were saying.
So what I was saying is that I before in the first part of our conversation I mentioned all the obstacles and some negative aspect of the war, but I do want you and our listeners and our viewers to know that is not the main part of the war. The main part of the war is what America and Israel are doing in the last 3 weeks, and that is weakening Iran, taking most of their military capabilities, destroying all their missiles facilities, nuclear facilities, air force, navy. So in the end of that war, which I don't know when it's going to happen, maybe next week, maybe the week after, I don't know. But all in all, it's going to be, and even if the regime will not collapse, I don't know if it's going to collapse or not. But even if the regime will not collapse, then still it's going to be very different Iran, very weak Iran, very weak Iran, and that Iran would not be able to threat their neighbors in the Middle East, to threaten Israel, to threaten America, to threaten Western civilization as they did in the last decades. And you know, there is another part, Yishai, which we didn't mention, and it is not covered enough in international media. You know that Iran has and had plenty of terror cells all over Europe and the US. Okay, I will remind you, they tried to assassinate President Trump. They tried to assassinate the Saudi ambassador in Washington. It means they had a terror cell in America, and they had they have terror cells in Canada, they had in Germany, in Austria, in France, and also in the UK. The Brits, in the intelligence intelligence in the UK had an official report a few weeks ago saying there are terror Iranian cells in their land. So it tells you how much this country is a danger to the world, and therefore, when this war will end again in a few weeks, I guess, and even if the regime will not collapse, still Iran is going to be way weaker, and to me at least, it will make the world a much better place.
With the help of God, thank you very much, Ariel Kahane. We don't see you yet, so we put a picture of you up on the screen, which is good.
It looks better. I was younger few years.
That's right. That's right. Ariel Kahane is senior diplomatic correspondent at Israel Hayom, and regular commentator at I-24 News. You can find his stuff at his Twitter and his X at Arik, ARIK 3000, and arielkahane.com. Ariel, have a good time at studio. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Yishai. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Yishai Fleisher here, and we are broadcasting live from Judea. Shalom to all of you. Shalom to folks from places like Tampa, Florida, sending us blessings. Thank you very much. Let's now go to some videotape and see what Israel has been dealing with in the past few days. Very hard and intense stuff. Okay, the last day, we've really seen everything from Hezbollah rockets that have murdered Jews to so-called Palestinians terrorists who have murdered Jews. A big hit in the south of Israel, in Arad, which is really not so far away from where we are right now. Arad, all the way to Netivot, all kinds of places in the south have been hit. So let's watch some of that. Before we get to that, I want to thank very much the folks like E. Thomas 57, who sends in a blessing through Super Chat. Thank you very much. And also Corey Berg, who is out there helping us out with the Tractor Fund, which is to help fund tractors. In fact, right now, a big tractor purchase is on the way, a big one. And that can all be done through either Super Chats or buymeacoffee.com/Yishai, or our new website that we're very proud of, which is buildisrael.com, because we believe in building Israel. What a schut, what a merit it is to build Israel together with you, with me, and of course with God. Okay, let's check out some of the things that Israel's been facing just in the last 24 hours. Not an easy 24 hours, but one that certainly makes it clear that we are at war. Let's check out ILTV and their news summary for us.
A bloody 24 hours here in Israel as sirens have continued sounding this morning, warning of Iranian and Hezbollah missile attacks. Just a short while ago, sirens sounded in central Israel with multiple impact sites across Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, and Petah Tikva. 15 people were injured, among them one in serious condition. And overnight, 100 people were injured in Iranian missile attacks in the southern cities of Dimona and Arad, 11 of them in serious condition, after air defenses failed to intercept at least 2 ballistic missiles. In Arad, a missile caused heavy damage to a residential neighborhood, causing dozens of injuries, including to a 5-year-old girl. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu toured the impact site in Arad this morning. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Wait, I want to see that image. Look at this.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Look how many buildings have had glass destroyed. There's going to be hundreds of people that are going to be outside of their home and in hotels in Israel. We are very schooled at this. We're really good at knowing how to move people. It was Corona, and then it was the October 7th, and we had the war in the north. So we in the Gaza envelope. So we're good at moving people out of their homes, putting them up in hotels, helping up with schools and stuff like that. And so we have a lot of practice in that. And I just saw that the other day. I was in one of these hotels with these people who have been evacuated from their homes. But here, it's easy to believe that in Arad, there's going to be, just from what I look at it, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 12 buildings with 10 families each, at least 120 families at least. And usually these are families with a lot of kids. So we're looking easily at 1,000 people, but I think probably more evacuated from their homes. So it's a very serious thing, not to mention the injured that we are praying for. Okay, let's take a look at what Prime Minister Netanyahu said about this.
Netanyahu toured the impact site in Arad this morning. Let's listen to what he had to say.
אנחנו פה בערד, קרה פה נס, אבל נס שאפשר היה לחסוך אותו. הנס הוא שאף אחד לא נהרג, אנחנו כאן במאבק על הקיום. כל העם חזית, זה אומר שהעורף חזית. ואני מבקש מכם פעם נוספת ללמוד את הלקחים. מאז תחילת המלחמה, מאיראן, מטילי איראן, נהרגו 15 איש. כל אחד מהם עולם ומלואו. אנחנו מצירים, מבקים כל אחד ואחד מהם. מעבר לזה אנחנו ממשיכים להילחם בנחישות באויב, עושים את זה ביתר שאת עם ידידינו האמריקנים. אנחנו שותפים מלאים, אנחנו מכים בהם שוק על ירך ונמשיך לעשות זאת עד שנשיג את כל מטרותינו. אנחנו מבקשים לייצר את התנאים שיאפשרו לעם האיראני לפרוק את העול של העריצות הזאת. אנחנו עושים דברים רבים, פוגעים במשטר הזה, סודקים אותו, פוגעים בו בצורות שהוא אפילו לא שאר, ויש עוד עבודה לעשות. אני מקווה שנשיג ניצור את התנאים האלה שיאפשרו לשינוי משטר, אבל הגדרנו, אנחנו רוצים פשוט לרסק להם את תוכנית הגרעין, ואנחנו עושים את זה, לרסק להם את תוכנית הטילים, ואנחנו עושים את זה, לרסק להם את היכולת לייצר גרעין וטילים, ואנחנו עושים את זה, ועוד היד נטויה.
The hand is outstretched. That means that we have actually more ability to strike. And what Netanyahu was actually talking about there was the war aims of stopping the nuclear ambitions and the rocket capability. And he's been talking, that's his mantra. He's also been talking about the third leg, which is helping regime change. What he doesn't mention is the issue of getting rid of the proxies, which still strike at Israel, and that's still a problem that we face. But the prime minister laid out again, and here, look at his background. He's dealing with a place where look how much destruction there is all around him, and there are people in critical condition as well. We have seen miracles, though, says the prime minister, and he's right. There have been miracles. There have been miracles indeed that have protected the Jewish people, but at the same time, we have to take seriously this threat and these attacks and to strike back hard.
And in Dimona, more than 30 people were injured when a missile hit an apartment building. A young boy is in serious condition from shrapnel, and a woman in her 30s was moderately injured. Iran says it
again. Look at how much destruction there is, and yet nobody was killed. But there is a child in serious condition. We have to pray. But this is a lot of damage. The Iranians have capacity to make a lot of damage, and that should be no surprise.
Targeted the Dimona Nuclear Research Center in response to strikes on Natanz. The nuclear center, however, did not sustain any damages. Meanwhile, in the north, Magen David Adom announced that one person has been killed in a suspected Hezbollah anti-tank missile attack on the community of Misgav Am. 2 vehicles caught fire, and first responders recovered a body from one of them. This marks the first Israeli fatality from Hezbollah rocket or missile fire since the start of hostilities on February 28th.
Okay, so a Hezbollah rocket shot at the north of Israel. And that poor north of ours has been in so much trouble over so many years, okay? That's what happens when you allow your enemies to come up right to your borders, okay? That's what happens when you don't destroy them utterly, right? You remember the beeper attack, and the beeper attack is great, but the Hezbollah is still alive and still able to produce damage. So what we got to do is not allow that to happen again next time that we have a chance, which is this time, to destroy the Hamas and the Hezbollah and all these proxies. We got to utterly destroy them and not wait for them to have replenishment, not to just cut the grass and mow the lawn, but rather to destroy them utterly and to not allow them to come back and hurt people. And here they have today killed an Israeli citizen in the north and making life in the north not very tolerable.
And in central Israel, a kindergarten in Rishon LeZion was damaged by shrapnel from a suspected Iranian cluster missile. And in the north, 50 rockets hit border communities. 5 people were lightly wounded in Ma'alot Tarshiha, and in Metula, a home was damaged, but no one was hurt.
Okay, so are you getting the picture? Hello? Are you getting the picture? We're under massive attack here in Israel, in Arad, and in Dimona, and in the center of the country, and in Ma'alot Tarshiha, and also in Metula, and in the north. People are being attacked. Civilians are being attacked by Hezbollah, by Iran, and it is a bigger war. It's going to, before we talk about this business of how long will the war last, and I think the war is going to stop and all that kind of stuff, forget it. We're in a war right now. It's an intense war. There's nothing to talk about, when is it going to stop? Forget it. We got a mission now. And if we talk about stopping, the word stop should not be coming out of our mouth right now. Anybody's mouth. Not pro-Trump, pro-America people, not pro-Israel people, not pro-regional peace, not Europeans. The word stop the war should not be in the lexicon right now. Let's not talk about when will it stop. It will stop soon. I think it should stop. When it will stop. Economic challenges. Stop this, stop that. Forget it. There is no stopping this war. It's got to go on. We got to take care of business. Okay, we got to make sure that these guys are gone, not leaving for our children. And we have to believe, and I do believe that there's a problem. I think about the psychological issues that people have out there. Now, one of the psychological issues that Jews have, at least, and really a lot of people in the world, is that we're addicted to bourgeois. That's understandable. It's understandable. People want to have a decent and normal life. I get it. But when you're at war, it's not a time to talk about decent and nice life. It's not talking about, well, look at the gas tank. My gas tank is too expensive. Forget it. We're talking about existential war against evil. So, yeah. And by the way, good news, most wars help generate economy. So stop whining about your gas tank. At the end, everybody's going to get wealthier through a war because wars help technologies and economies prosper. You got to get into it and want to win it. You have to get into the mode. You have to get into the mode of fighting. It's a modality with the help of God, of course. So that's that is what is happening here in Israel. We are under attack. Yes. And it's hard to count. As she said in the beginning of the program, it's been a hard day here in Israel. And we have to pray for protection, be so thankful for for protection, both the technological and the spiritual, and they're both united. And at the same time, pray that we have a resolute attitude. One of the problems that we have is that we're addicted to bourgeois, and the other one is because we don't believe that there can be a world without evil. That's a problem that the world has. We don't believe that there can be a world without evil, and yet there can be. We have to believe that, and therefore, and overcome our bourgeois, and then attack our enemies with the intent of defeating them utterly and vanquishing them and destroying them so that they never again do this, and not to use some liberal bullcrap to keep them alive and then face the war and just pass the war to our children. Let's not do that.
Emergency services continue to respond across the country as missile threats persist. Meanwhile, it's day 23 of the war in Iran, and over the past hours, the IDF conducted waves of airstrikes in Tehran and western Iran. The IDF says Israeli Air Force jets hit dozens of sites linked to Iran's...
What is this thing that she has at the bottom here? What does it say? IDF Chief of Staff, only halfway through campaign. What kind of crud is that? Why is anybody saying it's halfway? It's 1/3 of the way. It's 3/8 of a quarter. Who cares? Why are we talking about how many parts of this war there are? Tell them we're here for the next 1,000 years down your throat. Okay? We're here to destroy you. It don't matter how long it is. I'm not halfway, not quarter way, not 2/3 of the way. I'm here to win all the way, and I'm going to keep going for as long as I need to go, and that's the right language. IDF Chief of Staff, only halfway through campaign. Please tell everybody to buckle down, and that's the way it is, because it's time to fight and win, and maybe even take care of some of the other enemies. Hezbollah to the north, Hamas, maybe the Palestinian Authority pro-jihad Arabs in Judea and Samaria. We got a lot of work to do, okay? And you know why we have so much work to do? Because we let it slide for so long. So when you let it slide and the problems mount up, so it takes time to fix it. You can't just take care of it in one shot. I don't want to see this only halfway through campaign. Just tell us it's going to be a long campaign. We're totally ready for that.
Ballistic missile program, including IRGC complexes, missile fuel facilities, component factories, and...
I like that video. I like that. That's some good video. Do you see this thing? Check this out. Like that's some good flyby footage there.
Air defense systems. Targets east of Tehran included storage sites for ballistic missile launchers where operatives were present. The IDF says it has identified Iranian operatives preparing missile launches after previous strikes degraded most launch capabilities in western Iran. Earlier, the IDF says the Israeli Air Force struck a nuclear weapons research and development facility in Tehran. The target was located within Malkah University, which the IDF says was used to develop both nuclear weapons components and ballistic missiles.
Okay, ILTV, thank you very much for your excellent newscast and giving us a picture of what is the news out of Israel. It's funny, says McFly, 6237. It's funny because this is more of Europe's war than anybody else's. They get most of their oil from the Straits of Hormuz. Straits of Hormuz. You know, the Iranians are blocking the majority of the Straits of Hormuz. And interesting, you know, there's so many other facets to this war. And we heard Prime Minister Netanyahu say that he, you know, would like to see a pipeline going through Saudi Arabia and to Israel, bypassing the Straits of Hormuz and the Straits of Tiran. And so therefore really bypassing the Iranian grip on these things. So maybe the war is really about that also, which is creating new economic outlets for the future and making, you know, putting a little greasing the wheels on that project. Okay, could very well be. Fine. Prime Minister Netanyahu was in Arad, and let's hear him talking on Fox News. You know what? Let me start that again. All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here, broadcasting live from Judea. Prime Minister Netanyahu was in Arad surveying the damage and talking about how Israel must defeat its enemies and how to liberate the people of Iran, because Israel is the liberation nation. That I add that, okay? Liberation nation. Here's a summary of the news of Israel being struck by rockets and Bibi's appearance in Arad on Fox News. Let's check this out.
The clock is ticking. President Trump giving Iran an urgent ultimatum. Open the Strait of Hormuz or face an attack on your power plants.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst just spoke with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu moments ago, and he joins us now. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Right now we are in the southern Israeli city of Arad, and I want to just quickly show you behind me. This is where an Iranian ballistic missile slammed into a residential area overnight. It was a direct impact that injured more than 100 people. You see these apartments totally reduced to rubble, a bus there totally destroyed in the aftermath of this Iranian strike. These strikes have continued throughout the day, and here in Arad, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking exclusively with Fox News about the situation. I asked him about that post from President Trump overnight. Take a listen.
If you want proof that Iran endangers the entire world, the last 48 hours have given it. In the last 48 hours, Iran targeted a civilian area. They're doing that as a mass murder weapon. Luckily, no one was killed, but that's due to luck, not their intention. Their intention is to murder civilians. Second, they fired on Jerusalem right next to the holy sites of the three monotheistic faiths, the Western Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And by dint of a miracle again, none of them were hurt, but they were targeting the holy sites of the three major monotheistic religions. Third, they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile on Diego Garcia. That's 4,000 kilometers. I've been warning all the time. They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on a European country, Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights. And fourth, they're stopping a maritime international route, energy route, and trying to blackmail the entire world. What more proof do you need that this regime that threatens the entire world has to be stopped? Israel and the United States are working together for the entire world. And it's time to see the leaders of the rest of the countries join up. I'm happy to say that I can see some of them beginning to move in that direction, but more is needed. President Trump's call to have the international community confront this terrorist fanatic regime of zealots, that is a call not only for the security of America and the security of Israel, it's for the security of the entire world. And it's time for them to act.
Sir, what will your response be to this attack on Israeli civilians?
We're responding with great force, but not on civilians. We're going after the regime. We're going after the IRGC, this criminal gang, and we're going after them personally, their leaders, their installations, their economic assets. We're going after them very strongly.
What does victory look like in this campaign?
Well, we've defined two clear goals. One is to break completely their nuclear program, break completely their missile program, break completely their capacity to produce the components for both of these programs. We're well on our way on achieving it. We've also set a goal of creating conditions for the Iranian people to overthrow this tyranny that has tormented them and made life miserable and is making life miserable for the entire world. And I hope we achieve that too.
Overnight, President Trump said that if in 48 hours the Iranians don't open the Strait of Hormuz, that there will be strikes against the power grids in Iran. Will you participate in those strikes, and what do you think should happen next in this campaign?
I think President Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and whatever we do together, and as far as possible in confidence.
As the Prime Minister was leaving, I asked him about President Trump, and he talked about the great relationship that these two leaders have amid Operation Epic Fury. The operation has now entered week 4, and we do anticipate heavier strikes against the Iranian regime in the hours and days ahead. Guys?
So the Prime Minister said that he was hopeful that some of the other leaders of other countries are starting to line up and take this seriously about trying to open up the Strait of Hormuz and bring some order to Iran. Who do you think he was talking about there?
He's talking broadly about Gulf countries, and I spoke over the weekend with a different source who talked about the fact that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, they're looking at the attacks being launched against their countries by the Iranian regime with both drones and ballistic missiles, and they understand that the situation may have to change very quickly. And so there are conversations, we understand, according to our reporting behind the scenes, for these Gulf countries to possibly get more directly involved and take offensive action against the Iranian regime that is not only threatening their energy infrastructure, but also their civilian population. Guys?
And Trey, so you asked there at the end, the Prime Minister, about what happens in 48 hours. Obviously, he is saying that President Trump is going to do what he says he has to do, and Israel will be there with them. But walk us through just a little bit of what that may look like, because if we do 48 hours, we're talking about roughly by Tuesday, we're seeing something we haven't seen yet in this conflict.
Absolutely. And look, we have to zoom out here to look at the reality on the ground, to view the battlefield exactly as it is. And right now, the Iranians still have the ability to respond to U.S. and Israeli strikes in the time and way that they choose to. We saw that last week when the Iranians responded to the Israeli strikes against the South Pars gas field. They immediately went after the Ras Laffan facility in Qatar, just over the Persian Gulf. We saw the strike that took place in southern Israel just yesterday after reports indicate the United States went after the Natanz nuclear facility. The Iranians responded with ballistic missiles very close to where Israel houses its nuclear research centers. And so this war is escalating in some ways, and there is an escalation ladder. And so the question is, if the United States and Israel do strike the power grid and these power stations in Iran, what the response will be from the Iranian regime. And so we don't know what will come next in the days ahead, but the Israelis and the Americans are bracing for the real reality that this war continues to change and to morph in ways that will threaten U.S. forces in the region and allies across the Middle East.
Trey, you say we don't know what happens after, or, you know, if these power centers are attacked. What do you expect? I mean, I'm sure you have sources. You just were talking to Benjamin Netanyahu. Somebody must be, you know, wargaming this out. What would happen? I mean, what is likely? Is the target going to be Israel? What have the Gulf states said? And, you know, could it be their desalinization plants? What could we expect next?
The short answer is that we don't know, but over the past week and a half, I've spoken with both President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and both leaders have indicated there are options on the table, possibly that the public doesn't know about. And I think that's a very important thing to discuss here. What we're able to know publicly and what President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu discussed publicly is just a fraction of what they have behind the scenes and what options they have on the table to respond militarily against Iran if they continue attacks like the one that we saw behind me here that injured more than 100 people in a single strike. And so the short answer is that we don't know, but there are not only a variety of options as it relates to energy infrastructure inside of Iran, but also the Strait of Hormuz. The president has been very clear he wants to get this critical waterway open again, and the Iranians have a lot of anti-ship missiles and things that are just along the coast, and the United States and Israel have the ability to go after these storage facilities and these launching positions.
You know, I was interested in your question at the end there, where the prime minister listed the two goals that he wanted to see accomplished. One was eliminating their nuclear program and their missile program. And the second one was regime change, which is quite different from what President Trump's very focused goal has been from the beginning, including his latest, the reports that he's willing to work with the regime if they agree to all of these points about eliminating their missile program, bringing in inspectors, eliminating the nuclear, their nuclear program. So that strikes to me as a pretty big difference between the goals that Netanyahu has and the goals that the U.S. has.
Absolutely. And there are a number of points that the Israelis and the Americans are looking at from different angles, I would say. We should note that over the past week, we've seen significant shaping operations on the ground when it comes to the specific strikes that were conducted by Israeli forces against the Iranian regime. In a period of about 48 hours, we saw Ali Larijani, the secretary of Iran's National Security Council, taken out in an airstrike. We saw Commander Soleimani, the head of the besieged forces, this is a wing of the IRGC, also taken out. And then Ismail Khatib, which is the intelligence minister of Iran. All of these individuals played a similar but different role in the crackdown on protesters earlier this year. And so the Israelis are clearly trying to lay the foundation for, if a decision is made, to encourage protesters to take to the streets of Iran once again and demonstrate against the regime there. And so both the United States and Israel certainly do have similar but different goals as it relates to this operation. But there are a lot of crossover points, and the Strait of Hormuz is one, understanding that the impact ripples across the global energy economy.
Yeah, and they also have a different tolerance for war, right? I mean, they have been under attack, Israel, for a long time, and their tolerance for this type of chaos that comes from war is much higher than the United States or even, I would say, their Gulf neighbors. So how do they square that? I mean, if you're in a partnership with somebody in a war that has, as Charlie said, perhaps different goals, Trump maybe having more limited objectives than Israel, which don't include, as far as I know, regime change, although he would welcome it maybe if it happened, but it's not, as far as we know, not on there. But also this tolerance for war, where you have war-weary America who loves Trump, wants to, trust him to take charge of this, but also to manage it with a partner who maybe has different objectives.
Look, I think the Israeli people understand the goals of President Trump in the Middle East. He was able to end the war between Israel and Hamas and bring the hostages home, something that was a very personal thing for the Israeli public. And not only was he able to do that, he was able to create the Board of Peace that brought together these regional countries that previously weren't working together with a goal for stability and peace across the Middle East. And the Iranian regime was seen as the last hurdle in those efforts by President Trump. And so I think the Israeli people really understand the vision that President Trump has for the region, and they understand that they will benefit if they can make it through this war relatively unharmed. And the reality is there are Israeli civilians dying. There are missiles raining down on this country, like behind me, where more than 100 people were injured overnight. But understanding the relationship between the United States and Israel and understanding the popular support that even President Trump has on the ground here in Israel. We hear it from people when they hear that we're from the United States. They say, President Trump, thank you. They're thanking him because they understand he is taking out an existential threat to the Israeli people, and that is the Iranian regime, a regime that has not only threatened directly Israel with ballistic missiles and drones in the past, but also through its proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen. And so the Israeli people see the effect of war, but they also are willing to pay a price. They understand that war comes with a price, but it is a price they are willing to pay.
Yeah. All right, Trey Inks live for us.
Thank you, Trey.
Rod, Israel. Trey, great interview. We'll check back in with you throughout the morning.
That was Trey Yingst, an excellent. I didn't even want to interrupt him, even though I had some commentary, but such an excellent perspective. Just a few things that I think were not said there. Number one, Prime Minister Netanyahu, one time when he said that it was a miracle that more people haven't been injured in Israel. Another time he said it was by force of luck or sheer luck. The word God has got to be part of the discourse. Hashem, God. And you know what? People around the world respect you when you say the IDF and myself are doing our best and God is protecting us. And that's a good thing to say. That's number one. Number two, just like God isn't always mentioned and he should be, so too other players in the story are not mentioned. And I do wonder in my heart how much of this is also proxy war within itself. There are proxies, but what is this war that we see? What is it a proxy war of? And I really do think it is about a globe dominated by AI, led by China and other players like Russia, North Korea, Iran, where the world turns into a type of serfdom. And Israel, which is the original liberation nation that exited an exodus from Egypt and brought the idea of liberty to the world, with the modern liberty banner carrier, the United States, together with the modern reborn state of Israel, is fighting against that neo-totalitarianism that wants to take over the world. I think that this war is about energy. I think it's about mind control. I think it's about AI. I think it's about Chinification of this world. I think it's about awakening the United States to the memory of the fight for liberty. I think it's really about a much bigger picture and a spiritual picture as well. I really do think that there's an element in this thing, and I'm thinking about it all the time, which God is like, I'm trying to give you strength to push back against neo-slavery and neo-totalitarianism, which wants to control the world today through our willingness to become bourgeois, get a meaningless but decently paying job where we get entertained. Have you ever seen, like, the Lego movie? It's like we just kind of like, or other movies where, like The Matrix, where we kind of go to sleep, and there's a slavery, and AI is the new Matrix. And I really think that there's another war here that's happening. Of course, there's a war against jihadism and their form of totalitarianism. And then there is the Chinese form and other forms. And then there is liberty and freedom and the service of a living God. Yes, these are complex and awesome issues. And I think that this war is an awesome war. And I agree with Trey that there is an escalation as I felt there would be. This war, forget this business, as I said before, of it's going to last 2 more weeks and 3 more weeks and it's halfway done and 3/4 way done. Forget it. In reality, this war continues strong. It's continuing strong, and we are going to have to fight. We have to fight these forces, fight these forces of darkness, fight these forces of mind control, and fight these forces that want to use these nice things that we love, like TikTok and Instagram and all that, to really pacify us, mollify us, turn us into bourgeois, TV consuming, kind of asleep neo serfs. We're going to have to fight that. And God says, in this time of Passover, I want to give you freedom. You're going to have to fight for that freedom. And when you get that freedom with the help of God, then choose me. Choose me. Choose to get close to me through a place of freedom. That is what a living God, a God of freedom, wants. He wants you to serve him, but from a place of choice, from a place of freedom. That's right, from a place of freedom. All right, folks. So I hope you enjoyed that Fox News coverage with Trey Yingst, who's an excellent reporter. And of course, here at Yishai Fleisher TV, we're trying to bring you as much as possible of the land of Israel and of the heartland of the Holy Land. Please join us at yishai.tv, where you can like, subscribe, and comment, and check out our web store. You could also keep us caffeinated, because when I got to the show, I was feeling sleepy. So Malkah kept me caffeinated. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Buy me a coffee. Do it now. It gives us strength. Toda rabah. Thank you. And you could also support the restoration of the land of Israel, and together with me build Israel, because we believe in building Israel together with the one God of Israel. And you can do that at buildisrael.com. All right, awesome. And now for something not completely different, I want to call in the one and only show hostess with the mostest, Malkah Fleisher. Thank you so much for joining me, Malkah. Shalom.
Hey, Yishai, how you doing?
Malkah, it's been an intense day. Hundreds of people injured. Various hits all over from the center of the country to Arad, to Dimona, to the north. Even a civilian being murdered today via Hezbollah rocket, and another civilian, a young civilian, being murdered by so-called Palestinian terrorism and jihadism. So that is what's been happening in the last day. As a Jewish woman in the land of Israel, how does it feel?
There's a lot of feelings, on the one hand, there's like the national life, there's also the personal life, and then there's the family life, there's the Jewish life. A lot of things are trying to coexist right now, and it's not so simple. We're burying people, right? That's horrible. And, over the last many days of this war prior, Hashem has really blessed us with very few casualties and even very few direct hits on buildings and relevant locations to us in our daily life and to our national life. And over the last few days, those have increased. It seems that there are more and more direct hits, which is sobering, I think, for the population, which has been very enthusiastic about this war. And I wouldn't say that that has changed. I would say that people still feel enthusiastic about the war, but it's less of a we're tearing them to shreds and we can continue on with our everyday life and not really pay attention because we're slamming them and like everything's just totally working out and look how much better we are than them. And we're having to realize that Baruch Hashem, we do have the IDF and they are a very powerful force. And we do have a great ally in the United States of America that seems to have a clear head in its policy toward Iran right now. But there is still a tremendous danger. And we have to maintain a certain level of humility, the kind of humility which makes you remember that you have to turn to Hashem and ask and pray. Pray for your safety, pray for the safety of your fellow people, pray for the success of our soldiers, that it's not all just like in our hands. You know what I mean? It's not all just like in the palm of our hand, that things can happen that we don't like and that we have to ask Hashem for mercy always.
Amen.
Over the last few days also, there's been ups and downs for the children. They went back to school for a couple of days, some of the kids anyway, and then some of the kids didn't go back to school, and there was Zoom school, and are there fortified rooms for the kids, and what hours can they go, and how many kids can they have in a classroom? And now all that's been rolled back with the unbelievable attack on the city of Arad, which both was catastrophic but also utterly miraculous in the way that it was just decimated a whole neighborhood and yet managed to miraculously spare so many innocent people is just really jaw-dropping. But kids are back at home. And that is okay. I guess we have practice, right? We have practice from previous war and we have practice from COVID. Everybody remembers this kind of living, but there's another layer, and that layer is Passover. The Passover season is like hardcore upon us. This is the week before the week that Passover starts. It starts in the middle of next week. And so Jewish families around the country are rolling up their sleeves and getting their, ripped up shirts on and things and cleaning, scouring in the corners of the houses, looking for chametz, looking for leavening, which God prohibits us from owning over the Passover holiday or certainly consuming. So we look up and down all around the house, and also many families take this opportunity to engage in spring cleaning and changing out, the kids' too small clothes to the right size clothes or winter clothes into spring clothes. And it's a very busy time. So to have the children underfoot in a scenario in which you're also maybe running to bomb shelters, which has its own psychological implications for you, for the kids, trying to make a holiday happen, all this stuff at the same time. It can be a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, and hard. But we try to keep our, tough girl.
That's right.
Chins up, but the reality of people really want to know is that it's challenging. And that's what the women of Israel are facing right now.
Thank you very much, Malkah, for that. And you're absolutely right. Let's watch another great lady who is Alika Laban. She is, I think she's a lawyer, British trained with a British accent, but actually Iranian born, and an excellent social media personality who's out there making the story of Iran, Iranian women, the fight for Iran, the fight against radical jihadism. She's making the case very strongly. Alika Laban, let's watch this together, Malkah.
Okay.
Of seeing this.
No to war and free Palestine.
On the same day as seeing this.
You're speaking to us via Zoom. The Iranian people don't have open internet access, but you do. Why?
Well, because I'm the voice of Iranians. So this is why I have access to internet to have our voice being heard by the international community.
On the other side of the world, the dictators say that they've shut down the internet because they are the only voice of the people. On this side of the world, they say stop the war on the dictators. You know what? It is such low-hanging fruit. It is such low-hanging fruit to go out there and regurgitate your buzzwords and your slogans, knowing that your audience will applaud the virtue signaling about matters that you are so fortunate to never have to understand. But my question to you is this: who is it that you are creating this moral separation between? Between you and who? Between the people who you think are having the time of their lives, being slaughtered in their tens of thousands, people who you think are salivating at the mouth to add to the fun with bombs? Who is it that you think loves war, that you feel the need to morally posture against them? It is so easy to reaffirm the narrative that gets you applause, but do you know what's difficult? Do you know what takes integrity and courage and empathy? Actually listening to matters that involve wading through moral complexity, actually listening to voices from inside Iran, even when their voices counter your narrative, voices like this.
I'm Mr. General. Here is Masha City. I am knocking my people. Please help my people. Please help to Reza Pahlavi. Come to Iran. Baby Netanyahu, please come to Iran. Please help to Iranian people. I have not killed my people. Please help.
I think these are people who love war. Do you understand the level of desperation that a people have to have reached to see war as the only chance for freedom? You know what? You're so lucky that you'll never have to know. You know what the darkest irony is? That we are so safe, so removed from the suffering of the world, that we create these impenetrable echo chambers that start to become their own micro dictatorships. Nobody can get through to you. No voice can penetrate. Just like the dictators, you remain unquestioned, unchallenged, unaccountable to the people who you speak over. Then you go out there to your award shows and you get behind the podium in front of your million-strong audiences and you say, forget them, forget the dead, forget their cries. I am the voice. And who's going to tell you that you're not?
Very strong words by Alika Laban. And I think she's talking about, like, you get people at the Oscars, they're standing there and they're like, free Palestine. Oh my God, I got up in front of the stage and I said, free Palestine. What you're really saying is allow jihadism to take over parts of Israel, allow jihadism to take over Lebanon, allow jihadism to take over parts of Yemen, make those places poor, make them backwards, make people subjugated, make women subjugated, make children subjugated. But it doesn't matter because you're on the moral upper hand because you're against Israel, right? And then there's these tens of thousands of people in Iran in the streets, and they're begging for America and for Israel to save them, and you just don't care. And then the Iranian regime slaughters 30,000. Just you couldn't care less, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's all about virtue signaling and teaming up with the right camp. And the Israel camp is the uncool camp for some people. But then there's the other people. There's the other people who recognize and realize, the real people on the ground who understand that Israel is in the business of freeing this region from horrific, radical jihadist tyranny. And those are people, and it's easy to dump on the Jews. It's a classic move for people who want any burden of responsibility taken off of their own shoulders. But there are people out there, including the people who are watching this show today, many of the people watching this show today, who understand that the state of Israel and its allies are the great hope of this region. And if they would only support Israel, and if only, it's not just supporting Israel, but if only Israel would take its effort to its natural conclusion, then we would see a world which is much brighter for all the local people, not Jewish people, everybody who lives in this region and everybody around the world.
You know, Malkah, that my mom is in her professional life was a chemist and a perfumer. She told me that in some of the latest perfume trade magazines, professional magazines, they're writing that masculine scents that have been out of vogue for a long time because there was a preference for unisex scents. Masculine scents have gone up by 400% recently.
Interesting.
I think that when Israel is strong, people respect it. When people want to see the bad guys, when they see that the bad guys are actually being chased and destroyed, people line up not with them. People move away when they're like, you know what, these losers are not cool. And when Israel's strong, when Israel is not strong, it's toxic. When it's strong, people are like, ooh, there's a winner. I want to be with them, with their military, and with their God.
Right. I think it's confusing times, and there's a lot of messaging that people are subjected to. And so people have to weed through a lot. There's a place inside of me that has, as we say in Hebrew, rachamim. It has compassion on people who are stuck in a horrible quicksand of mixed messaging. Yishai, Chuck Norris passed away.
Alava Shalom, may his memory be a blessing. I heard that when Chuck Norris does a push-up, he doesn't push his body up, he just pushes the earth down.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
But what was Chuck Norris? Everybody's talking about it, and there's a lot of Chuck Norris jokes going around. And my understanding is that during his lifetime, he had a very good sense of humor about that stuff. But what was he, and why is it that his the ethos of Chuck Norris is coming back into the world? Because there is something very comforting about old school heroism that people are sorely missing and feeling like they wish it was back in the world. You know what I mean? I don't think the world nostalgia is right, but they want it back. You know what I mean? And I think that but there are people who see that kind of thing, who see Chuck Norris type of movies as toxic masculinity and violence. So I don't know if we can exactly analyze, geopolitics according to Chuck Norris theories, but I think that there are kind of two camps. There's the pro Chuck Norris and the anti Chuck Norris. There's the pro Chuck Norris that's go get the bad guys. Bad guys are bad. Good guys are good. Get the bad guys because they're bad. And you're the good guy. And if you have to do some violence, that's okay because you're good. Right. And then there's the other people the anti Chuck Norrises who are the bad guy has a backstory and he has a daughter back home and he had a hard childhood and we feel sorry for him and make peace with the bad guy. And there shouldn't be a bad guy. And you smacking that guy, roundhouse kicking that guy in the face, that is bad. Right. So I think that we, Yishai, are in the pro Chuck Norris geopolitical camp. We see our cause as the cause of good. We are not ashamed of that. And we are ready to roundhouse kick our enemies in the face. And that is healthy, according to the Chuck Norris geopolitical strategy.
So you're saying this, we could probably just narrow it down very simply. If you want to know where a person stands, does he love God? Does he love Israel? Does he love goodness? Does he hate evil? It's just a simple question. Do you like Chuck Norris? Do you like what he stands for? Yes, you're okay.
Yeah.
Don't like Chuck Norris?
It's worth investigating.
Question mark.
Yeah.
Not sure. They're like, I don't like the plot lines of his movies.
I mean,
you hate
is
God.
is it Oscar winning? It might not be Oscar winning.
Yeah.
But still, there's the good background music.
Right.
And the good guy always wins.
Dun 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 dun. You know what? For years, that was the ending music for my Yishai Fleisher podcast. Okay.
Yeah. Delta Force.
Delta Force.
Yeah.
And in fact, yesterday after Shabbat, we sat down with our friends and did an ode to Chuck Norris and watched Delta Force. And many very Jewish themes in that movie, right, Malkah?
Right, definitely. I mean, there were overtly Jewish themes in the sense that the like most kidnapped of the kidnapped people were Jews, and they were, the bad guys were upset because they found a piece of jewelry with some Hebrew on it, but the truth is that movie, I think it was made in 1984. I don't remember what
85.
85. So it was made, part of that movie was filmed in Israel. That was a very big deal at the time. And Chuck Norris was a friend of Israel. He was pro-Israel, and he had a personal relationship with our Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And Bibi put up a tweet, an ode to Chuck Norris in the wake of his passing. And it got like the most likes that I think I've ever seen Prime Minister Netanyahu get on a tweet, something like over 100,000 likes on his tweet about Chuck Norris.
Yeah, let me actually put that up. Let me actually put that up.
If we are meant to judge geopolitics according to the Chuck Norris theory, which I have now developed, then Chuck Norris was in the Israel camp. Ah, you found it. Okay, there it is. So how many likes? Can you see how many likes it has from where you are?
It has 106,000 likes. It has 8.6 million views. It says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sarah and I were deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Chuck Norris, a great friend of Israel and a close personal friend. Chuck brought martial arts and the warmth of his character to millions around the world. May his memory be a blessing.
Right. Amen.
But I think it was more than that. I think your point is true, Malkah. It's more than that. Chuck Norris stood for strength of good versus succumbing to evil. I think that's what you're saying.
That's right.
I love that. That's simple and true.
Anyone who wants to write their PhD on the Chuck Norris theory of geopolitics is welcome to contact me.
Well, I actually did have a theory previously called that Israel sometimes suffers from what I call the Woody Norris disease. And Woody Norris is when Israel is like, on the one hand, Chuck Norris, what it needs to be. It's like, yeah, boom, right? But then other times it's like, I don't know, maybe I should, maybe
like Woody Allen.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't kick Hamas out of the Gaza Strip. Maybe they have a right to it. Now we have 52%. That's already pretty good. Okay, so they have some percentage. That's okay. I mean, we got to share, live and let live, turn the other cheek, all this kind of, stuff that's not part of our tradition, but, a kind of nebbish, as we say, a kind of like weakish type of Woody Allen-ish type of response. And Israel is, through this war, maybe entering to a more Chuck Norris-y type moment. And so therefore Chuck Norris did not die.
Right. He just went up there to fight from up there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He's basically changed positions. Okay. And maybe he's kicking the guardian angel of Iran with a roundhouse kick to the face.
That's right.
Okay. Malkah, awesome. Malkah Fleisher developing the Chuck Norris
geopolitical theory.
Geopolitics.
Yes.
All right. Fabulous. Okay. Let's see what else we got, Malkah, that we could watch together. That might be interesting. Oh, speaking of Chuck Norris, we have our own Chuck Norris, if you will. His name is Tzvi Yechezkeli. I think he's devilishly handsome. Okay, and maybe some people think he's my doppelganger. I don't know. I'm just saying. But the point is, Tzvi Yechezkeli is an Israeli commentator and also a religious type teacher and leader, and an Arabic speaker, and knows the Middle East very well. Here's his kind of message to the Arab-speaking world.
أيها المسلمين طلعوا شو بصير في العالم طلعوا
So he says, are you Arab? Are you Muslim? Look what's happening in the world.
الحرب العالمية اللي بتصير الآن
Look at the war that's happening right now. And not on the Al Jazeera screen.
شاشة الجزيرة طلعوا بالعيون.
Look with your own very eyes. Look with your eyes to what's happening in these wars.
الحق
Look at the truth. El-Haq, the truth.
الكبيرة وإسرائيل صغير.
The big America and the small Israel
تضرب إيران.
are attacking Iran, a land that is 60 times greater than the size of Israel.
كبير منها 60 مرة وإسرائيل تضرب إيران.
And Israel is attacking Iran and is victorious against it.
وتقتل كل الزعماء الإيرانيين.
It kills all of the Iranian leadership.
وتعال حزب الله كمان.
And is now striking at Hezbollah as well.
والصواريخ.
And the missiles.
إيران تضرب صواريخ.
Iran shoots missiles.
على دول العرب.
Now it's shooting missiles at Arab countries.
ودول العرب الخليج والسعودية.
And the Persian Gulf country, the Gulf Coast states, and the Saudis don't really respond. They don't have the ability to respond. And it is us, the Israelis, who are fighting your war. We're fighting your war. We are fighting the war of the Sunni against the Shia, right? We, the Israelis. And in Israel, we see miracles because all the missiles we are able to strike down. We strike it down in the air. What is this? What is this thing? What is the secret? The Jewish nation is 4,000 years old. This is the nation that left Egypt. This is the nation that received the Torah at Mount Sinai, received the land of Israel from God. Says Tzvi Yechezkeli, who's a very famous Israeli news commentator. The Jewish nation has faith. The Jewish nation has strength. It has truth. And then when you come on to attack the Jewish people, the lion comes out. The lion comes out. How do you say lion in Arabic, Malkah? Asad.
Asad.
Asad, okay? Asad is lion. And the lion finishes the work. Look at what's happening now in this month of Nisan. It is our month of liberation and liberty. And we are actually hoping and wishing for liberty for the Iranian people, which is celebrating the Nowruz Zoroastrian holiday. And we were wishing them, and we're trying to help them with liberation and liberty. And from oppression by the Arab world. And he means to say, what did he mean by that? I think he means by, liberty from their rulers. Liberty from Arab yoke. When you are in a state of liberty, you know the truth, and you know that Israel is the truth. Says
yes.
Yeah, says our Chuck Norris. I mean, Tzvi Yechezkeli. And you know that Israel, what Israel is, and you understand Israel. You know Israel. And you know that Israel is in fact a superpower, the biggest in the Middle East. Be careful. Watch it from that. Don't mess with Israel. Tizaharu. Be careful. The war in Gaza is not finished either. And Hezbollah in South Lebanon, northern Israel, it's not finished. And Iran as well. It is far from done. Listen to me, 100%. Israel will complete the work, as in will destroy the enemies. because it is a big superpower in the region. And not because of weaponry, but because of faith, because of justice, and because of the spirit, and because of our history, and because we are here in this land from God's will. Happy New Year, Happy New Rus to the Iranian people. And we wish for liberty for all the people out there in the world in the side of good against evil. Okay, that was Tzvi Cheskeli Malkah with a message for the Arab people. What do you think about that?
I was pretty impressed by the background music, which pumped me up. I like that. That was good.
And Tzvi Cheskeli, he's got a good sense of how to talk to the Arab people, not just in their language, but also in their psychological language.
Right, in their culture, right.
Right, in their culture. And what is he saying to them? He's like, look, just shuf, look with your eyes. You'll see Israel is destroying this Iranian regime. It's a regional superpower. And why is that? Because it has biblical rights and historical rights, and God is with us. And we have haq, which is truth, right? The truth is with us. Don't look at things through Al Jazeera eyes, he says. Look at the real truth. That's true. That is not Woody Norris disease. That is Chuck Norris all the way. That is Middle Eastern Chuck Norris, okay? With the gray beard, right? That's the way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That was strong. That was strong and impressive. So thank you very much, Tzvi Cheskeli. He's one of our neighbors. Malkah Fleisher, we want to wish you not only continued success in staying alive.
Thanks.
Raising your children, making your husband so happy, and inspiring millions as you do, but also success in cleaning your house from chametz.
Thank you.
And you got to channel. You got to channel Chuck.
I'm going to Chuck Norris that chametz.
You got to Chuck Norris that chametz, Malkah, all the way, roundhouse kick to the chametz's face.
When it sees me, it's going to burn itself.
Okay, I don't know about that, but it's going to run. It's going to run. This chametz don't run. This chametz is going to run. Okay, and you're going to take care of that, and we're going to come into an awesome Passover and a holiday of liberation, and that liberation is going to come out from the Jewish people. And I have a guest coming up in a second, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. But with this guest, with Rav Mike Foyer, we actually talked about how Moses also didn't want to go down to Egypt and be the liberator, the redeemer. But God's like, I need you. And so to Israel, it doesn't always want to be the liberation nation, but God's like, but I need you. My people need you. People around the world need you, right? Just like in the book of Jonah, it's like, but all these people need you.
That's right.
Get out there and take care of
we
business.
are God's chosen nation for a lot of things, and we're chosen to work, and work we will.
That's right. Bezrat Hashem. Inshallah, with the help of God. God bless you, Malkah Fleisher. Thank you so much for being with us. Happy Passover, Cleveland.
Happy Passover. B'atzlacha, everybody.
All right. Malkah Fleisher, thank you so much for being with us. Co-hostess with the mostest. We're having a lot of fun here at Yishai TV. And we're talking a lot about all kinds of bad folks going down and good folks going up. And we talked about Chuck Norris, and we're in the Chuck Norris mindset today. Chuck Norris is a hero, right? He's a hero, and he's a kind of like simple version of a hero, right? He's just like good. He's like good and moral, and he's willing to fight for that morality. He's willing to fight for that morality. Let's talk about Jewish heroism with Rav Mike Foyer, who's an educator, content creator, spiritual counselor. Through the Jewish Heroism Project, he brings a Torah of Jewish heroism to leaders, educators, activists, and idealistic Jews seeking courage, capacity, and spiritual strength for our time. You can learn more about it at jewishheroism.com. That's simple. Or ravmike.com as well. These are great ways to connect with the consciousness of heroism. Rav Mike Foyer, shalom. Oh, we need great internet for heroism to happen. But right now we got frozen internet. So we need that internet to become like Chuck Norris inside. Hold on, here we go. Are you back? Okay, we had.
I'm here. I feel present. Well, listen, it's winter. Thank God it's returned, so we might as well enjoy it while it's here because there'll be
You're
enough
saying that
summer
the
for
rain
everybody.
causes a lack of internet in our great land. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris, Jewish hero or not?
I mean, certainly a hero, and the question is, what do you mean by a Jewish hero? I mean, if we're going to bring Chuck Norris into the Jewish hero realm, we have to define heroism. And to me, heroism is Mesirut Nefesh L'man Tov. It's going beyond your limited self for the sake of Tov, which is really creation's good. It's not just the specific; it's the general. And in this case, I think, listen, Chuck Norris is well known to be going beyond the limits of himself. That's in fact his brand, so to speak. In terms of the Jewish, he was a lover of the Jewish people, was a lover of the Jewish story. And in a time when it was a liability in Hollywood to associate with us, we see these pictures of he and Bibi on the screen. He certainly was never afraid to speak up. So I will definitely give him that status. He's a hero in his own right. He doesn't need us to pull him into the Jewish story, but we'll give him that medal as well, because he definitely broke bounds for the sake of the Jewish story. So yeah, why not? Chuck Norris, Jewish hero.
That's right. And check out, here's a picture of Chuck Norris with BB. That's a pretty happy picture there.
It's a funny picture, right?
Yeah, it's a happy picture, and it gives a real sense that that this man, had these values. And why are there so many jokes about him being so like heroic? Why is that? Like, what did he bring to this world? What did this character bring to this world that was so, I don't know, worthy of these kind of like emulation, even lighthearted, but a kind of like there was something. What was that quality that people sensed in him?
I think it was a hard, relentless stance. Chuck Norris says that attitude was just he just doesn't bend, he doesn't retreat, and in that sense, I think it's something that, there have been times in our history that the Jewish people have been such. I think we're, thank God, living through a time where we're beginning to grow back into that energy now. But all those memes and the jokes you're speaking about, about how I don't know, I can't think of any of the, we all know the memes. Everything Chuck Norris did was the standard by which we judge hardness. I think it was because it was the unbending stance. And one of the things that's already spoken to me, Briot, in the Jewish story is that our existence itself is resistance. This point in Jewish history, to still be around, to still be insisting on our sovereign existence and our rights and our land, now to finally have begun to lean into our power, to not only react, but please God, begin to shape the environment around us. So I think that's that's a quality that Chuck Norris embodied quite well in his characters. I don't know so much about his personal life, but that's certainly what his characters seem to display.
Right. You've been critical of this government, of the government of Israel for a long time, that they haven't really given a vision of a Jewish state, a vision how to really be strong in the Middle East, how to project power properly, how to end the dangers that we find ourselves surrounded with, and identity issues which Israel certainly faces. But yet this government has become, kind of surprisingly, maybe against their will, folks that are getting rid of bad guys in a very overt fashion.
Yes.
And there is, while sadly Israel has become toxic out there for many, being so strong out there will certainly win over a lot of doubters. So what do you think? What's the grade that you give right now to the government of Israel? And what do you think? Like, do you think that October 7th forced a change? Do you sense a spiritual, psychological change in Israeli society?
Well, there's a lot of pieces to that. First of all, I'll give our government right now A for effort. I mean, I think that there's a wholehearted desire, especially on the behalf of the defense forces and the political echelon as well, to destroy our enemies. The thing that worries me is what you named in the beginning, is that victory depends on vision. And we're still, in my opinion, not projecting within our country, in the region, what's our vision for victory, whether it's toward the Arabs that live in our land, whether it's toward the Arab states around us. We need to learn to speak with the clarity that power provides, and I'm hoping that it will come. So, in terms of, I'm sorry, I forgot the second half of your question was
It's like, do you feel that there's a psychological,
change,
spiritual change in the
like a
land?
spiritual change. Listen, when a mourner decides to get up from mourning, we call that these mitnachim, right? There's nechama, consolation. What is consolation? Anybody who's ever lost someone, which I know you and I both share, having lost our fathers at a relatively young age. Real consolation is the ability to transform suffering and tragedy into a source of positive identity. You don't get to change the past. You don't get to bring back the people you've lost. You can't heal the things which are broken, etc., etc. But real consolation comes with an acceptance of that reality, and not just a passive one, but an awareness that the only way in which I can redeem and truly heal is to transform this loss and this suffering itself into a source of a new reality. And I think that that's what's happened with October 7th. And I really actually think, by the way, that the government is following, not leading in that. And
Meaning?
Credit where credit. Well, I think that there's an incredible awakening amongst the people of Israel. Sometimes it's just as simple as the awakening of the left that had believed in this illusion of the two-state solution, and then if we just found some tidy economic political division, that we'd all be happy to recognize that actually maybe that the Arabs of this land never wanted that, or whether it's the deeper realization of the young who are starting to look around and realize that a connection to God and tradition is an essential aspect of not only surviving but thriving. I think a lot about Omer Shem Tov and how he was literally alone in the dark for over 500 days. And he said that he spoke to God every day. And the most amazing thing that I saw in the one interview that I watched, he said that he misses that sense of intimacy.
Yeah.
It's a profound recognition. That itself is nechama. Is that he found something there. He wasn't looking for it. I wouldn't wish it on him. I'm not trying to say it was good or okay. Please don't misunderstand me. But since in the end, you don't get to choose what happens to you, you get to choose how you relate to it. There's an incredibly redeeming power. And I think the people of Israel are feeling that redeeming power. The voice of God is very present.
There was another thing in that interview. That was the second part. The first part, he goes, I started talking to God differently. And I started saying to him, how was your day? Can I do anything to make your day nicer?
Yeah.
Says this guy inside of a Hamas dungeon.
Alone in the dark for
he's like,
more than a year.
How was your day, God? How are we? Like, can I do anything to make you feel happier?
Yeah.
I mean, that was very deep. That was very deep. That wasn't like, wow, look how beautiful this guy's coming towards God. It was like, I just learned a big lesson from this guy about relating to God. So that was special stuff. But is it
now?
Do you think
that, by the way, about survival? Is it in the end of the day, survival hinges on our ability to give to others. It's not enough just to take care of ourselves. And I think that's something that we've seen since October 7th, the awakening of a sense of peoplehood and commitment to one another has been fantastic. And I think, like I said, our leaders are following. I don't say that necessarily is a bad thing. I mean, that's a good thing in a democracy, that the nation is not tired. Well, listen, we're all tired, but we're not worn out. And people understand that this is a generational battle.
Well, one of the things that I've been fighting back against on this show is this business of them telling us that the war is half over, or this is this much more time, that much more time. And I've been saying that one of the reasons that people want to hear that stuff is because one of the ways that the dark side has gotten us to not fight against evil is by causing us to have addiction to a bourgeois life.
Yes.
And the bourgeois is like, we're like yearn for, and we sometimes have these candidates that are these like bourgeois political candidates, and all they really signal is not too much of this, not too much of that, and we'll go on and we could go back to the mall type thing. But like one of the important things about October 7th is like bourgeois is like there's a need for a new normal. There's a need for a different level.
Nefesh.
Right. Which how do you translate that?
Going beyond the bounds of self. I mean, self-sacrifice is how it's often translated, but that's a subset. If you think about it in modern Israeli Hebrew, when you say, "Oh, asatze is the Mesirat Nefesh," it just means you went beyond your boundaries. Your nefesh is your limited self. It's where the rubber hits the road between the infinite and the finite. Since we're all chelek Elokam Imal, we're all a portion of a God. That means there's an infinite potential in each of us. But the nefesh is like the embodied expression of that. And yet we have incredible capacity to transcend our limitations in service of. I'll tell you a quick story about that bourgeois life. Remember
Before you do, let me pause you for a second. I just want to say to everybody out there that's listening on our live stream, is that I will start taking questions for myself and for Rav Mike. And so you could ask questions, and even after Rav Mike leaves, I'll do a few more questions. This is a new section of the show that I'm starting, which is like question time.
Great.
So people who are listening live right now, start to formulate your questions, and our producer Yo will be picking out some questions for either the segment with me and you or afterwards. So start writing up your questions. Only serious questions, please. Actually, you can write whatever you want, but we will only choose serious questions and frame them as a question. It's like you're playing Jeopardy, okay?
Yes.
And if you really want to get it read, then you'll send them as super chats, and that will make it so much more readable. And I'll even excuse bad syntax and other things like that if you send it as a super chat. But your questions to myself or of Mike Foyer, it's a great opportunity. Okay, you said you were about to tell us a
just
story.
real briefly, Second Lebanon War, right before the ground invasion began, Ehud Olmert was then prime minister, and he gave a speech. And I was driving along, and at the beginning, it started really well. It was strong, it was clear, he had a voice, and then he reached his crescendo, and he said, what we're fighting for is to live a normal life. And I had to stop the car at a bus stop and pound on my steering wheel for a minute, because any Jew that thinks that what we're after is living a normal life doesn't understand what it is to be a Jew and knows not the plot of the Jewish story. And so to have a leader on that level, listen, I'm not criticizing a normal life. Don't get me wrong. I grew up in the suburbs too. I get what you mean about the bourgeois desire. But it's fundamentally a mistake. We're not meant to live a normal life. We're meant to be servants of God. Now, that could be a great life. It could be a rich life. It could be a happy life. It could even be, to some degree, a comfortable life. But normal, it is not.
That's right. I think that there has been a shift in that normal sense of Israelis, if a bit. Part of it is because one of the backups that Israelis had psychologically was that they could always leave Israel. They could always move to LA or somewhere, and they have their cousin there already. And there was this sense, but that sense has become eroded. And they realize that it's not out there. It's not going to work out so well out there. And to give away our land's not going to work out. I think that there is a more okay, we've exercised all those options, and now it's time to go big and strong and Jewish. And I know for a fact, a lot of people tell me that are in Tel Aviv that there is definitely a Jewish identity awareness renaissance. Surge.
And now is the time to embrace the two poles of that identity, of the particular and the universal. I mean, you and I come a little bit more from the tribal team, although knowing you and knowing myself, we also have our profoundly universal sides, but they may not show as much, in certain contexts. But
let me remind you that as we're talking now in the English language, we're talking to people all over the world. Using this technology, we do have a yearning for reaching the globe with this light. I think of it as Abrahamic. I think that's an Abrahamic instinct.
And that's exactly what I'm driving at. Is I think it's very important because many people find the particularism, even Israelis, challenging. Which, by the way, it's good to be challenged. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's certainly organic to Torah. But also showing the fact that we live in a time in which the universalist desires of this sort of Tel Aviv cosmopolitan desire can be sanctified like that. You don't have to abandon it. You don't have to turn your back on the world and the sort of the more negative, scared voices within us that say, "Oh, the whole world's against us." And it's simply not true. Like you said, there's many people that are looking to Israel now saying, "Wow, well, there's something different going on there. Here's an opportunity to lead and to come to Torah and to God and to Judaism in a way in which you don't have to sacrifice who you are. You actually can grow into the fullness of who you are by integrating with Torah. I think that we live in such an incredible time of opportunity. And more than anything else, I've got to say that anytime I'm feeling down, and it happens, it's tough, it's a tough situation out there, I just look at my kids and their friends and this generation that's fighting this war as active soldiers, and it just, their ability to change the world in which they live, their optimism. They're not just fighting wars, they're getting married. They're having kids while they're fighting a war. I mean, we live in a world where every industrial nation across the globe has stopped having children enough to replace its population. And never forget that having children is the most optimistic thing a person can do, because it's the most visceral way in which you prove that you believe in the future. And it's just such a phenomenal source of hope.
Here's a question by Gary. Gary writes, I want to ask Rabbi, why the most of people working for evil? Why Israeli people is good? Gary, where are you from? I want to understand where this syntax is from. Are you from a Russian-speaking country? I want to know that. I want to ask Rabbi, why the most of people working for evil? Why Israeli people is good and rare people?
Okay. I mean, aside from the syntax question, I actually don't think most people work for evil. I think most people work for themselves, which is fair. But the challenge is that we have a world system that is more than happy to co-opt your energy and put it toward evil.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the structures of the world have evolved through history. It's been a tough road. I actually am an optimist when I look at history. I think the arc of history is an arc of progress, but there's a tremendous amount of work to be done. Why Israeli people are good and rare? Part of it is that what a Jew is the ones who swim upstream. That's kind of the way it works for us. And so therefore we have an awareness of not just the way the world is, but the way it ought to be. We're a people of mission. So I think that even when a Jew is disconnected from the classic Torah vision of their mission, so often you'll find them trying in any way, shape, or form, trying to fix the world and make it better, because that's the basic mission.
Recently, I had what I have thought inside of my heart is a big realization about characters that I've thought about and work with in my head for a long time. That's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have for a long time asked myself a question, which is, what is it that exactly these people brought? Can it be a little bit more defined? And of late, I've come to a new thought, which I'm very excited about, which is that I think that what happened is that Abraham had a global vision. He was the original Jewish globalist. Yes. Okay, he was out there to change global religion. But in fact, it didn't work. It didn't exactly work at the time. And then what happens is, let me follow through, is that he goes through a process that he has his son Isaac. Isaac is a man who is working on himself. Isaac is the one who self-sacrifices himself. I actually have right behind me a needle point of the binding. Okay, he goes up to the binding. He gives himself up. In a sense, he's working on his own character. He doesn't leave. He's about personal holiness. He doesn't leave the land of Israel. And then, so that's a very big change from Abraham, the internationalist, to Isaac, the working on myself.
The Ola Tanima.
Right. And then he gives birth to Jacob. Jacob is the progenitor of the nation, the 12 tribes. Now, he's working on somewhere between personal and how to effectuate global change, and that is through the nation of Israel. And so the nation of Israel is like this question says, you know, why are Jews rare? Because they're actually programmatically created to be rare, to be the Jiminy Cricket, the inspiration, the thing, the little Chuck Norris in this world that gives you like a goal, a yearning to go to this height, a priest of holiness that you go to, and then through this nation, that is the people that follow this nation are the people that are going to reach that spiritual height that humankind is meant to reach.
mean, it's a beautiful image, and I think that the national scale is a very important one, and especially in our time when there are once again many voices out there in the world. They don't call themselves imperialists, but that's basically what they are. Whether there's sort of the religious imperialism of Islamism, or whether it's a sort of globalist imperial vision of the international government, and there's a lot of disparaging of the nation because it's a real bastion of particularism. Hungarians want to be Hungarian, Indians want to be Indian, I don't know, Pakistanis want to be Pakistani, etc., etc. And there's something very beautiful about the preservation of human difference that happens through the nations, and it becomes a unit of measure of how we as a society can be together, but also different, and with all the richness that involved. It's an important piece that you're adding there.
Okay, very good. That was a very interesting answer. Now, second question, and then I reserved the third question for myself. Here's a question from McFly. McFly, hello, McFly. He says, question, what is the rabbi's thought on the diaspora today? Should more Jews make Aliyah? Says McFly.
So I think I would encourage every Jew that can to come to the land of Israel now. And I think that there's a tremendous opportunity to really find yourself within the story of the Jewish people, which can happen anywhere in the world. But this is the center. This is the center of our people. I like to say that, the old quote by Archimedes, that if you give me a lever and where to stand, I could move the world. Well, our lever is the Torah, and where we're meant to stand is Israel. If we're going to move the world, this is where we have to stand to do it. That being said, what do I think of the diaspora? I think everybody has a path in life. I think that the most important thing a person can do is to figure out what it is God wants of them wherever they are, right? Like they say in the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, a Jew is never stuck, right? You know that story about the two women who got stuck in London. They wrote to the Rebbe and they said, he said, the Jew is never stuck. Figure out what God wants you to do where you are, and then you'll move on. So I think diaspora, wherever you are is where God wants you to be, which isn't to say you can't pick up and move. That's what I think. But clearly where you are is where God wants you. So figure out what you need to do there.
That's a very good answer. I want to add that the greatest diaspora in the last 2,000 years has been the American diaspora. That's greatest. Well, maybe the Spanish one for a short amount of time, for a time as well.
Poland and the Forelands. I don't know. We could.
I don't mean survival. I don't mean where they survived. I mean where they. Survival. Well, they weren't they were. I think they were a survival group. What can you say that they really created in that time other than their own?
Oh, I mean, the history of the Forelands is a thriving, semi-autonomous, governing Jewish culture.
Yes. To what end?
What do you mean to what end? The life, Torah. The Torah that came out of there was unbelievable.
Well, but they weren't. Would you say that they were politically powerful?
Yes, relative to the time.
Well, other than perpetuating their own survival? I mean, you say the political power is to look. To me, the American diaspora is becoming a powerful, not some kind of just minority, but really a cultural, financial, city building minority in a country where you're really you're part of the very DNA of New York City, et cetera, Los Angeles, Vegas, to my dismay. But like the real building block, and incredibly successful, incredibly wealthy, and culturally impactful, right? Very impactful diaspora. Okay, certainly in the last 500 years, right? Like that's the. I'm saying after
I'm the history geek, guys. You can't help it, man.
After 1492, I'm saying the last 500 years.
Yeah.
So the American diaspora was like the big one. You know what I mean? It was the Babylon of our time, in my mind. And it
was, by the way.
Right, because that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because that greatness is now different. If you have a Mamdani ruling New York, governing New York, that means that you're not the thing. You're not
Hymietown anymore.
It's not Hymietown. That's right. You're not calling the shots, and it's your town is being taken away by somebody who doesn't like you at all. Right. But his
wife is just a private citizen, so that's okay.
Right. But somebody goes to me, no, but you know what? There's still Texas and Florida, and people are considering moving to Texas, Florida. I'm like, you just proved my point because you're talking in ghetto-ness. Like, oh, this ghetto is good. This ghetto is good.
We're safe over there.
Right. So therefore, America is yes. Yes, yo.
Well, this lovely PTT 7000 gave $10, and then later on she said Yishai will be visiting the U.S. This year. I will attend. So I just wanted to. It was hard to see her questions. I wanted to point it out, and she gave a nice super chat.
Very good. Thank you very much. Wait, what was the question though?
Will you be visiting the U.S.?
I'll get to that when Rav Mike is off. No problem. No problem. Thank you, PTT. Which is what we Israelis call the button on the walkie-talkie, which is PTT, which is push to talk. That's right. Wait, so my point is that the American diaspora is different. It's different. It's now what I think of as like the French diaspora, politically weak, not very liked, and the direction of the American thing is going in that trajectory, is going in that way. Maybe not as fast. Maybe there's still strong conservative values, pro-Bible people, but there's an erosion, and as our Ari Abramowitz told me in the name of the Chafetz Chaim, which is you have to learn from the Bible. When Laban's face changes, it's time to go. When the host country's face changes, so I think there's a change in the host country, and I think God is in gathering His children, and so therefore, if you ask me about the American diaspora, I think it's in the process of shrinkage. And therefore, you're going to become less important, less central, less wealthy, less influential, and your kids are going to feel like outsiders. So if you're thinking about, let's say, just having kids or raising kids, choose Israel, put them on the right path of strength, of identity, of an Israeli identity as well as a Jewish one. And that's the right thing to do in our time. Obviously, that's also the ingathering of the exiles and the Torah thing. I think that goes without saying that a Jew should want to be in Jerusalem because Jerusalem is where God's abode is and you want to be close to God, right?
That's right. And something I want to say is I actually recently had another conversation with someone about their concerns that their children won't stay religious in Israel, which is, it's fascinating to me that this is still like an ongoing discussion. It may be true that this sort of ghetto approach of total separation is more effective because here in Israel, well, thank God, where we have a Jewish population of a diverse, world, there might be temptations you wouldn't otherwise face. But the Torah is showing a new face. Sure, Torah is showing a new face in the world, and we can't be afraid of it. And so that face is clearly coming out here in the land of Israel. I've heard you call it Judaism in addition to classic Judaism.
That's right.
And I see my son who's out on the hilltop, and
you got a son who's like a shepherd farmer type person.
Yes, the first Jewish shepherd in my family, presumably since biblical times. Although who knows, there may be somebody back there in the Middle Ages who had a few goats in the backyard. But yeah, and they relate. I mean, he's talking to God. He's out with the sheep. They're learning Torah. The rabbis come around and gather these boys together. But it's a lived experience of divine will and expression, which is only available in the land of Israel.
Yafeh. Okay, let's do these, what do you call it? Rapid fire, okay?
Okay.
Number one, where are you guys? Do all Israelis have shelters? How long does it take to get in? Do the Israeli want peace or to destroy Iran? Can both wipe each other out? Go.
All right. I am in my upstairs office. Not all Israelis have shelters personally, but the vast majority have relatively easy access. I could be down there in about 30 seconds. Peace is a deceptive word. I think right now we're looking for victory, and I think that will lead to peace. We don't have to destroy Iran. We need to destroy the Islamic Revolution, and we could both wipe each other out, but I'd rather be the last man standing.
Very good. Okay. What's your plan to get the world to like you again?
Not interested in the world liking me, interested in doing my mission. Thank you.
Well, what about getting people to love God and to love Torah?
That's in the mission. Fine. But the reality is not everybody needs to like us. And I think it's a big flaw in the Jewish psyche that we are so concerned that the world like us.
There are some other questions, including this rabbi is hilarious and giving great answers.
Thank you.
And then this might be a Chabad type question. When will the Rebbe return? That's easy. That's easy. The answer that is through in the Tchiyat HaMetim, yeah, in when the dead will arise
Revival
again.
of the dead.
That's revival of the dead. Says Imun Nadu or Imun Education. He says, is the building of the third temple and returning to sacrifices for Hashem not our goal as Jews? It has been a controversial topic within my shul, my synagogue, my house of prayer.
I believe it is a controversial topic. That is not hard to believe. The building of the temple is absolutely the goals of our goal as a people, because our goal is to bring heaven and earth together, to return the Shekhinah, God's presence amongst us. Sacrifice is a bit of debate in the rabbinic in the rabbinic tradition, but I follow Rav Kook, myself a vegetarian. Rav Kook says so long as humanity is willing to eat animals and is willing to spill each other's blood in war, then we shouldn't shy away from the offering of blood on the altar as an act of service. And the minute that we cease to kill one another and we don't sacrifice animals to our own fleshly desires, the world might look very different in terms of what a sacrifice would be.
So according to that opinion, the third temple will have a more vegetarian type sacrifice or some kind of
that's the Midrash
grain offerings,
says.
etc.
Yeah,
right.
The key is the offerings to draw us close to God. That's the essence.
Right. But the majority of, although that is an accepted opinion, the majority opinion is that the offerings will return, and that's what the book of Leviticus speaks so much about. So people say, well, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I've been studying assiduously, Baruch Hashem, the Rashis on every week now, and going through Vayikra and even now Tzav. Not easy, okay? Not easy to follow the complex laws of the offerings. By the way, there's so many Christian folk out there who write usually to me. They're like, "Why are you even talking about the third temple? Do you have a hard stop? Am I supposed to let you go?" Oh no, they say to me, "Why? Why are you guys even talking about a temple when Uncle Jay?" That's my name for the Christian God. They say, "What? Uncle Jay is the temple. He's the third temple. What do you need a temple for? He's the temple." And that's that. And I'm like, no. The Bible says to us that we're going to be ingathered and we're going to build a temple, and there will be a restoration of the house of David, but it'll be a leader who will bring together the Jewish people and gather the exiles, fight the foreign powers, help build the temple, and bring people closer to godliness.
And I think it's important, as hard as it is for the imagination of our day to grasp, whether you think of it as primitive or whether you think of it as just like outlandish, is that one of the beautiful sacred art forms of the Torah is to give concrete expression to vision and values. And that's why a house is so important. It's not enough just to connect to God in our hearts. It's not enough just to speak about God in prayer. We need to give a physical manifestation where the world can gather and give thanks for the fact that there's more to life than meets the eye. And a house where we can be together.
And one of the most moving of all biblical accounts is when King David is sitting in his palace and he's ruminating. He calls over the prophet Natan and he says, like, how is it that I'm in this house of bricks and mortar or stone, and God's ark is in a tent? And Natan's like, go with your heart.
You're right.
Yeah. It's like that's good. And then he like walks out and God's like tells Natan, he's like, give him the business of that I brought you into this world in order to build me a temple. And that's awesome.
It is beautiful.
Okay. Business. You know what? I have one last question for you. Something that I'm concerned about personally. I think that people visualize this war as Israel versus jihadism, America versus a foe that wants to destroy America. But I see it as a broader conflict with today's what I call neo-totalitarians, neo-enslavers, neo-serf makers. What are they called?
Feudal.
Right? Yeah. Neo-lords. And I see and I discussed this with also my colleague and friend Eugene Kantorovich today over coffee. And, China and AI, Russia, North Korea, Iran, but like these forces would love to just turn us into little mechanized people without a lot of willpower. They'll feed us, they'll give us the things that we need, but we'll become a kind of like ant working colony. With universal
Basic
paychecks.
income and
Yeah. But they really want to take away our freedoms and our liberties. And today, Israel, still wants that liberty, and parts of the United States still want that liberty, and many people are willing to just give it up and to succumb to a kind of matrix-like existence.
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right. And I feel it. I feel that power of this AI, social media, mind melting, bourgeois dicting, button clicking, screen face, scrolling mindset, erasing our liberty and our freedom. And I feel like this is a proxy war for that much bigger war. And I wanted to ask you how you see it, because I know you think about these things as well.
Well, as you're speaking, I was thinking of Erich Fromm's very powerful book, Escape from Freedom, which, if we go back to another period in the world where there was a global struggle against the type of force you're describing, which was the Nazis, Fromm and the rest of these socialists were trying to figure out how did Nazism come out of the place they all thought the great socialist vision was going to come out of, Germany. It's like the exact opposite. I don't know. There's a whole intellectual world that broke itself in struggling to figure that out. And Fromm's answer was the profound realization that there's nothing humanity is more afraid of than freedom. And that we will flee from it. We will escape it. And especially into the type of environment you're describing, where to keep us comfortable and to pacify us.
Right.
To distract us and to dissipate our energies. Because freedom demands something from us in every moment. If you're free to make your own decisions, you're free to fail. You're free to take responsibility for your actions. You're free to make choices which could be wrong or could be scary or hurtful, but they can also be beautiful and creative and generative. And I just think that most of us, and by the way, I think a lot of it's a failure of education. That I think the human being is eminently trainable and malleable. I mean, that's that evil side you're talking about. But are we training people to a sense of agency and moral responsibility? I think that's our task in the world. If you look back all the way to the Garden of Eden, what God wanted from Adam was agency together with responsibility. Adam took agency when he ate the fruit, but he avoided responsibility when he blamed Eve. And that's been our problem ever since. And we're more than happy then to give up our agency if you take away all our responsibility. And you make me a cog in the machine, just keep me comfortable.
That's right.
And I think that, yes, there is a tremendous awakening happening, at least amongst our people, and I hope across the world, and the realization that that's not what we want. It's not what we want.
We're definitely gonna have to fight for it. And I think that I agree with you that I think that the value of freedom and the good sides of it and the okayness of taking that responsibility and of, that whole thing that you're talking about, that yoke of freedom, I agree with you. It needs to be educated, but I don't think that we're on the upper hand of educating for those things.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's its own discussion where our educational approach needs some real profound changes.
That's right. I do believe that as well. Rav Mike Feuer, I want to thank you so much for being with us. And I want people to please check out jewishheroism.com and ravmike.com. Give us a word about Jewish heroism, please.
Jewish heroism is it's an approach to personal growth and to leadership development to let you move from an ordinary life to extraordinary potential. It's tools and frames in Torah and in practice to really help you break through the bounds of who you are and discover who you might be. I think that's the short pitch. There on the jewishheroism.com, you'll find a video masterclass of the 7 paths of the Jewish hero's journey, which can take you from where you are to almost anywhere you want to be. And
That is
RavMike.com
awesome.
is my platform that'll just show the diversity of things that I love to do.
Including spiritual counseling, which people can seek and find. Which
You can contact me there.
Rav Mike Foyer, thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure as always. Great to see you, and enjoy the rest of your live stream.
That's right. We're finishing up, and then we got to get. I'm just stringing it along because I know that at the end I have to go to the kitchen and start cleaning. So
I've already done my.
I figured I could tell my wife.
Oh, it was on the live stream. The
big live stream. Big live stream. People really
I was elbow deep in my freezer before I came up here.
God bless you, Rev Mike. Thanks so much for being with us.
It's wonderful to see you. Take care.
All right, folks, you are listening to Yishai TV, and that was Rev Mike Ford. That was really fun to be with him. And I want you to please go to Yishai TV, like, subscribe, comment. And if you could do it now, it helps that thing called the algorithm. We got to teach that algorithm, baby. We got to teach the algorithm. You know, we got to grab that algorithm by the horns, the devilish horns of the algorithm. We got to hold on to it tight. If it's not going to be Yishai TV, then it's going to be cat videos all day long. And then what's going to be with your mind? Okay, then what's going to be with your soul? Okay, you'll definitely feel a little cuter, but I can be cute too. Meow, meow, meow. Or we could talk about serious stuff, talk about how to get close to God on a global scale, because we're broadcasting in English from the land of Israel to the world. And that is really, really special. I want to thank Yo for being with me. Thank you so much for co-piloting this sucker for navigating. And I want to ask you to please, folks out there, to go to buymeacoffee. buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. I wish I had the Disney bouncing ball. buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. And of course, Yishai TV, Yishai Fleisher TV, Yishai Fleisher TV, ding. And we believe here in a very simple vision. It's called Make God Great Again. I need the t-shirt, the Make God Great Again t-shirt. We're gonna definitely use that. And all of that can happen, especially in the heart of it all, which is buildisrael.com. Buildisrael.com, where we build Israel together. We could do it. It's real. It's happening. I was building Israel today. Yes. Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. And finally, I want to also recommend that you check out HebronFund.org, where we build Hebron, the Jewish community of Hebron, the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs, this beautiful place. And that's where I work. What a schut, what a merit it is. Remember that we are the Liberation Nation and that we believe in go big and go home. Go big and go home. All right, folks, we've been here together for 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I'm definitely sending you blessings from the land of blessings. And if I didn't get to your questions this time, we shall get to them, Bezrat Hashem, with the help of God, next time. And there's a lot more good questions. And from now on, the last 20 minutes of the show will be dedicated to your questions. I'll be asking you to prepare your questions in advance. We're going to start doing that on the live stream every week, Bezrat Hashem. That's it. God bless you wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected, stay part of the story, stay part of my team's effort to broadcast to you. And that means that you are staying part, we hope, of the God of Israel, of the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, Ir Kodesh, the holy city of Yerushalayim. God bless you wherever you are, and holiness from the heartland of the Holy Land, and shalom.